Hello, Hafa Adai. Bella's trying to say hi to one of my cats. Um, when I said Hafa Adai, she meowed. Um, Welcome to another Tuesday Talks of my on my YouTube channel. Um, it's Gig Life and More is my channel name, but what I like to do is showcase a little bit of everything. If you look at the bio on my page, you'll see that although most of what you will see might be about gig work, I like to try and also throw in other aspects of my life, like where I'm from. As you see the poster behind you, the shirt I'm wearing, but but welcome, welcome. I'm glad to see you guys here. If you are here, don't forget to smash that like button, and also don't be shy. Pop in, say hi, because I'd love to know who's here watching and joining me on my live stream. And just as a heads up, which I will. Hey, nieces. Sheila, welcome. I saw that message there, Sheila. You finished your workout just in time, huh? Yeah, I was trying to make sure I got the kids, I made dinner and got them fed before the live stream. And so, as I was about to say, just as a heads up, you might be hearing the kids every now and then, whether they be stomping upstairs or coming downstairs, one or the other. But they're going to be taking their baths here shortly. So, either way, they might be coming downstairs just to have a little fun. Okay, I was wondering what that I was wondering what that was, Sheila. But this was something, for this week's topic was Culture Day, episode 1, a little bit about my culture and where I'm from. Or as we say in Guam, Hafa Adai, welcome. I know how that is. Sometimes, yeah, my brain moves faster than I can write there. Let me make sure I'm connected to my wife in case. Have you been to Guam? Okay, let me know if it's still showing that it's buffering. Let me go on my laptop as well and make sure. Okay, it's not buffering, at least on my laptop it's not showing that way. But as I've said in the past, especially for those that will be popping in and out, you just never know. I saw, um, and I mean that's a good point. I was watching Sarah's video earlier today, and the comment that she made about trying not to put a topic on your live stream can kind of, limit for those that are, might be interested in seeing what your channel's about, but if they only see one thing listed, definitely I can understand that. Or for those, as I just said too, popping in and out of the live stream, they're not sure if the topic was already talked about, so some of the questions might be repeated. So, I mean, so that's a true thing, to say. Who said not to put topic on? I mean, it's that was just from one aspect, and I think, and I'm still gonna stick to putting a topic on mine, but I think I'm gonna put that little disclaimer underneath it, just to make sure that everyone understands that although there is a topic for the live stream, I'm going to put, right underneath it that it's, it's an open forum. Because, I definitely agree with her on that part where for those that are popping in, whether they're 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the live stream, not sure if the topic was already discussed and what questions were asked. So that type of thing. But either way, I'm still going to continue putting a topic for my Tuesday talks, but I'm just going to make sure that I put that little thing underneath it saying it's an open forum. So we'll still talk about whatever everyone feels like discussing. But I hope everyone's having a wonderful start to this new work week. I got to work yesterday, even though my grandbabies are here. So, well, they just better get here on time. True. I mean, that's the whole reason of putting a start time, right? But we know life happens. Oh, and I'm happy to say that I know it's okay. I'm happy to say that I finally broke that 1500 mark on my watch hours. I mean, yeah, so now I can officially say I'm halfway there on my watch hours. So, but I still got a long way to go. And doing working as many, almost every day, it leaves a little room for me to work on my regular long form videos that I used to be doing there. Most of the time I get my shorts up and out because they're a lot quicker. Hey Mary, welcome. How are you? Let me see. But you hardly ate anything.
No, there was a lot more.
Well, just don't throw away the fork. Don't. And then put the fork in the sink. And then you're going to need to go wash your hands and your mouth, please. My last DoorDash was a $27 and... What was that? A $27.12 tip. Nice, Mary. Very nice. I take it you're still doing, Mary, the talk to text. The way the 27 and the 12-cent tip was broken up like that. Just be careful out there. I wish, I don't know, do I have that? At least, I don't think I have that option if I was driving and doing the talk to text. I don't know. I've never tried it. What was I saying? Oh, just basically, saying that hopefully everyone's had a good start to the week. Yeah. I don't know. If my backyard looked, or even my front yard, if either the front or back looked like yours, okay, maybe that might be something to do. But I don't think I could do that on mine. Because as often as I've and so yeah, I wouldn't mind, and especially listening to the birds first thing in the morning. And listening to the birds first thing in the morning for those that don't, get that serene wake up in the morning. I mean, that definitely is an idea. Point the camera higher up so it doesn't show your yard. She does. Definitely. She does have a nice yard. But as we were discussing last Tuesday, and even every now and then on other live streams about doing a culture day. So that's, this is episode 1. And what I wanted to share a piece of my culture for today is about stories or legends. you know, where you're from and your family. Things from Sheila. I enjoy that. Yes, definitely. I'm waiting for, especially on that washer hack that you shared. I'm like, I don't think that applies to ours though, because yours was a front loader on your washer and ours was the top. Oh wait, did I misread that then, Mary? I thought that's what your order was for $27.12. Because if that's the case, then boo to them if that's all they tipped. Okay, all right. So that's why I wasn't sure when I saw that. I was like, oh, I must have misread it. Those are even on top loader. Yeah. So like, and then I told my husband so, and I saw some of the other comments on there. They're like, I'm afraid to even look. So definitely we have to take a look at that, because yeah, I'm afraid to take a look. But as I was saying, um, but that was pretty awesome though, Mary. That is a really good tip. So for today, I just wanted to share a little bit more about myself, where I come from, which a lot of the times you might see that I'm wearing shirts that represent that. Either it'll say Guam or it might say Hafa Adai, or something to that aspect. Um, or sometimes you might see me wearing flowers. And how do you guys know what the flower behind the ear represents? Hafa Adai, how are you? I don't know if you just heard me ask that question or not, but how do you guys know what the flower behind the also you are you in Guam right now or are you stateside? But I grew up central part of the island in Barragata. I mean, I'm sorry, in Manila. And then there was a small part of my childhood because my dad had property, or his family had property down there in Mariso or Moleso. And I did spend a short while down on the southern part of the island. Ah, okay. Well, does anybody else? Does anyone else who, especially for those, if you're here, you're watching, and you know the answer, please feel free to chime in before I tell you guys. What is the meaning of wearing the flower behind the ear? Putita na view. Yeah. So if you ever come across, especially if they're, I mean, I don't know how many other cultures, share the same meaning behind this, but growing up in Guam and even the surrounding islands in the Pacific, they do share the similar meaning behind it. But really, when you see a young lady or a woman wearing a flower behind the ear, it represents um, their status, relationship status. Um, when you see the flower positioned behind the right ear, basically that's telling you that they are single, that they are available. So uh, that's why you see a lot of the kids, especially if they're performing and stuff like that. You'll see a lot of the kids and the teenagers and stuff like that, the young adults, will be wearing the flowers on the right ear. And just like where we wear the ring on our left hand for the ladies that are taken, that are married, and are unavailable, then we wear the flower behind the left ear. Yeah? Did I get that right, Bella? Huh? Come here, Bella. Come here. Come on. Come on. No. I'm going to put you on camera for a second. So this is Bella. Can you say hi? Hmm? Can you say hi? Hmm? This is our snow cat. Her name is Bella. No, you didn't like that? Hmm? She's smacking her lips at me. Okay. Go on. And as much as I like to try and pet her, she sheds too much. And it is ironic. We have cats, but I do have an allergic reaction if I were to get cat fur in my eye. So when I'm petting the cats or if I'm touching an area that they've been on, I have to remember not to, touch my eyes, because otherwise the white parts of my eyes just swell up. But so just remember, and especially if they were taught right, because then did I see someone about, what if I put one on both ears? You're not the first one to ask that, honestly. But it could be represent that they're taken, they're in a relationship, but they're open to options. Who knows? I never got the answer to that myself, but that's not the first time I've heard about someone saying, they will put flowers on both sides of their ear. Hey, Becca, welcome. I'm glad you're able to join. One of the first little tidbits that I shared growing up is about flowers. If you know what it means when you see a lady or woman wearing a flower behind their ear. Do you pay U.S. income tax in Guam? That's a good question. I was trying to remember. No. Wait. Yes. There's no sales tax in Guam. But yes, they do we have to deal with that there as well, because we are a U.S. territory. My cousin came and he was partying, yelling, and we warned him about when he woke up with bruises because he got pinched. And okay, so that's a good segue into one of the things that I wanted to share. So did you wear a flower every day then, Melissa, or just when you were going out somewhere? So it wasn't really, something that we were made to wear. A lot of the times really that I saw, unless we were heavily involved in some form of entertainment, then that's when putting the flower in our ear. I mean, and there are more people that are prone to wear the flowers in their ear. Every now and then, it's more a sporadic thing for me, and then or performances, because when I used to do island dancing with in a ladies group when we were stationed in Germany, and yeah, and then even though I really should be wearing more often, and then also to represent, because May is Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. That's also when I try to wear the flower in my hair too. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's possible also why Um, I mean, at least when it comes to Puerto Rico, honestly, I don't know. But yeah, we do pay that there in Guam. It's just the sales tax that we don't have to deal with. Um, but as Kevin was saying, and as I was leading on, especially if you weren't here at the start, towards the beginning of this live stream, but welcome, welcome. Or should I say, or if you're from Guam, this is the Latte Stone. I know it takes two hands, but that represents the Latte Stone. So instead of just doing this, you can do that. What is your favorite food? I can tell you more of what's not. I'm not big on vegetables. Unfortunately, I'm not big on vegetables. I mean, growing up in Guam, there's the hagunsuni, which is a spinach dish in coconut milk. My husband and my kids love it. There's the eggplant also in coconut milk. My family, my sisters, my parents, they say I'm crazy to not like it, but I never tried it. So if I had access to it, I would, because especially like this flower, it is very fragrant. So, I mean, it's just, um, and you can actually, during the start of spring, HEB here in Texas, they do have those plants. They'll put it out and have this flower. Hey, Presley, welcome. Hello. Uh, but so you can actually find these. So, and you can grow them yourself. I mean, Texas is not too hot for it to be, to grow here. Um, a wonderful woman that was coming to the food truck, supported our food truck there. She was growing those plants, and she was so sweet. She gave me twice. She gave me plants to give to my mom because I told her about it, and on what she did, or I was telling her, and her name happened to be Melissa as well. But she gave me a couple of plants to give to my mom, and they do come in different colors. The average temperature, it would range. I mean, it can drop probably as cool into the 50s, but you're talking about anywhere from 70s to maybe the low 90s. But the difference about, like, compared to here in Texas where we have the humidity, there in Guam, it's at least you have the ocean breeze to help, but it can still, especially during the summertime, just like a lot of other places, like here in Texas, July, August. Ugh. I think it is, cooler in Guam because, I mean, this was growing up, and even nowadays, you still see people wearing sweaters and jackets, and I'm like, you're in a tropical island, why? I mean, I grew up still wearing sweaters and jackets, because it does get, from what you're used to at that time, 50 degrees in the morning can seem cold to someone growing up that's used to 70, 80-degree weather. So it is. I'm not liking it when it's so humid. But Kevin had brought up something, I don't know if you guys caught his comment about the tatamona. And 50 degrees in the morning would be awesome. Yeah, especially here in Texas. It would be a very, very wonderful temperature to wake up to. Just sit outside and have a cup of coffee. But one of the things I wanted to do for you guys is I wanted to read you guys a story or two, if you guys would allow me. But this book I was given on my birthday a couple of years ago by one of my sisters, and because I had talked about it. So this has some of the more well-known stories of Guam. Now, some of the stories can be told. Hey, Rachel, welcome just in time for story time. Let me just turn on the light. But when I was reading through this, I was in some parts I'm like, I don't remember it that way. But you know, as time goes on, be careful, Kevin. Even though I updated, um, yeah, I was just about to say, Kevin. Even though I updated Nightbot to, I increased the amount of emojis you can use. I think the max was 15 or 20, and I think you hit it, Kevin. So be careful. I love using emojis too. But let me see if I can get to that. And I might have to wear reading glasses because you know when you're staring at your phone and your computer often enough, everything just starts to meld together. Are they going to sit on the tablets? Where's the? But growing up, when I first started learning about the stories and legends, bedtime story, no. So get comfortable, get comfortable. If you're just now joining my live stream, I'm just about to share a story or two, or read, should I say, a story or two, or legend from Guam. I'm gonna have to take this out for a moment. So welcome. Okay, so the first one I do want to share about is something that is, let me see. I don't see it on here. Okay, I don't. I mean, okay. Let me, like this one here, could be about, you know, an urban legend. Let me see if I can find it. So let me just read you about this one. You know, it's a love story, but it's not. This is something I definitely remember growing up and hearing about, and they even dedicated to this story, you know, to this legend. They dedicated and it's a huge, you know, tourist attraction there in Guam. But it's called Two Lovers, or it's also known in Chamorro, and there's going to be some Chamorro words in here that, you know, because I grew up mainly, you know, learning all about English, barely any of the Chamorro language that we speak in Guam. They cut down all the trees over here, so it's like the Sahara. I'm trying to walk the dog early before it hits 1,000,000 degrees. Oh my goodness, yeah, I don't blame you. The kids and I went for a walk at the worst time of the day. It was after 1 o'clock, and whew. But I want to say yes. I mean, I left the island when I was 16, so there's quite a few spots on the island that because I left before I started to drive. So there's a lot of spots on there that I haven't been to yet. Punta dos Amantes, you know, Two Lovers Point. But let me just read you a little bit, you know, read you the story. It's not that long, so hopefully I don't lose you guys. And then I'll even show you a picture. At least that's from the book. But like I said, it's just keep in mind, and this is a big hint to the story, Romeo and Juliet. Are you guys ready? Is audio okay? Am I coming across nice and clear? Because I do have the fan blowing over there. Okay. All right. Romance does very little to ensure survival. Chamorro people in the days of the Spanish used to think, who cares that you have love? Love cannot feed you. It is land that guarantees survival, and it is respect from the community that will help you maintain your status in life. In this story, our Chamorro heroine was born into a social class that that granted her all the security the island could offer toward her survival. Security ensured by the amount of land her family owned, by their reputation as benefactors to their village, by her father's Spanish ancestry, and most of all, by her beauty. Her beauty was famous. Many young island men sought after her. These suitors whispered to each other about her. They imagined staring into the warmth of her deep brown eyes, and some dared to imagine their hands resting on the generous curves of her hips. They wondered if she smelled of jungle flowers and what her dark black hair, always tied up in the tightest bun, looked like unbound and loose in the wind. Unfortunately for them, their whispers traveled beyond the confines of their social circles. Word of the young woman's beauty reached the ears of a Spanish captain, and once he saw her himself, this captain decided that he must have her for his own. To the captain, this engagement was very advantageous for him. She was land rich, of European blood, and was indeed a great beauty. He confidently approached the girl's parents and asked for her hand. He knew her parents would consent. Their union would elevate the family's social standing. Had she lived in ancient times, our Chamarita would have had more of a say over her love life. Unfortunately, decisions during her lifetime required the approval of her mother and father, and her parents believed that aligning with the Spanish was the wisest form of security for their family and descendants. Her parents had their land to think of and a reputation to maintain, after all. So, mother and father granted the captain the hand of their precious daughter. Despite their desire to shelter her, the family could not protect the girl from something with a pull more powerful than safety and security: the youthful innocence of a heart in love. It seems that the girl, unknown to her parents, responded to a very different type of suitor. She fell hard in love with the Chamorro boy, as young and beautiful as she, but who, as fate would have it, was poor. He did not have land. His family did not have the same reputation as hers, and because his poverty could never be sanctioned by the girl's family, the two lovers insisted upon living out their love in secret. They were confident in love's ability to protect them. They met with each other under the cover of night, holding hands with precious minutes to spare, making desperate pledges of love. When the girl was summoned to meet with her mother and father and the Spanish captain himself, she was told of the captain's desire to wed her. Stoically, bravely, she accepted his proposal in front of the family. In her heart, however, she hid a deep terror and a growing anger. Under cover of night again, with the few minutes she had to spare to be with her love, she told him, "I would rather die than marry that captain." And her love told her, "I would rather die than not be with you." When the day of her marriage came, instead of going to the wedding, she met with her love. The two ran to the place called Tumhum. I don't know where that's actually. I've never heard of that. Sorry to interrupt. Which, with its dense jungle and secret caves, was a good place to hide. Once there, they chose a cave that could keep them hidden from view for at least a few days, during which time they believed the commotion would die down. And the cave was indeed a place for them to hope, because once inside and settled, they were able to nurture their dreams. They discovered the joy of being unfettered by the demands of family, the demands of Spanish crown, the demands of the village, their community, the island. In the cave, they were beholden to not one but each other. They walked upon the living earth amid the roots and leaves of the lush jungle that welcomed them. They slept in each other's arms, in the warm embers of their love. The private demands she made of him and he of her were not demands at all, but were words like honey and music like birdsong. The two lovers had built a home, however transitory, in that cave. In the world outside, a search party was assembled. It was not made up of concerned family members. Instead, angered by the girl's abandonment and sensing that she did not want him after all, the captain arranged for his armed troops to comb the island for his bride. The soldiers, skilled in fighting and hunting down enemies, eventually tracked the young lovers to the area in which they had sequestered themselves. Upon hearing their approach, y dos amantes, that's how you say two lovers in Chamorro, ran as fast as their feet could take them. The jungle floor gave way to a clearing that seemed to climb upwards, and they slowed down their pace ever so slightly. Higher and higher they ran, and closer to the edge of the island they came, the captain and his troops relentlessly pressing on them from behind. The lovers reached the edge and saw that they could run no more. The soldiers were at their heels. They looked at the whitewash of the rough water and the sharp, jagged rocks jutting up from the below. What could they have been thinking at that moment? That love doesn't ensure survival? That the land will indeed take care of them? Or that they would never be apart from this day on? It has been said that she took her hair, loose and flowing in the wind, and tied it to his long hair, and perhaps as a symbolic wedding of their own, they took each other's hands and leaped, long and free, into the salt water of the depths of Itasi, the beach. Although with no winners in this story, as death and sadness poisoned the tides that wedding day, perhaps it can be said that since the story lives on to this day, in some way, love does ensure survival. So this right here is a picture from the book. And if you guys were, I hope I didn't lose you guys as I was reading that. I know my computer went to sleep. The other thing, to add my from what I remember hearing about when I was growing up is adding to what happened after they leaped off the cliff was that, and this is where it can be kind of like urban legend type thing. Because even though I've been to the top of that cliff, because like I said, it's a huge tourist attraction there. If you look it up online where it says To Lovers Point, you'll see they've erected this huge statue of two lovers, intertwined, and even their hair, it showed just standing so tall in that spot. I mean, they have a chapel there. People get married, but what I remember hearing was that at the bottom where they supposedly landed, and as where the water is actually, coming ashore, they say, in which I don't remember ever seeing that, but I heard that there's a rock formation that happens to bear a resemblance to two people intertwined. So that was the other thing that I heard about it. Oh, thank you, Presley. Was hearing that there was an extension to that there's not only do they live on in the story, but there's supposedly a rock formation at the base of the cliff. But yeah, that is a huge story, and it was first written by a French person, I guess, that came to the island, who recorded about that story. And supposedly back then, because I mentioned before I started reading this too, is that some stories change over time, and that happens. But originally the story was opposite. It was the guy that was of higher standing. That version I don't remember ever hearing about. It was always the woman that was of the higher standing than the guy that she was in love with. So, but yeah, like I said, it's like Romeo and Juliet. So, um, and there's not a story in here about the next one that I kind of want to talk about. It was something that I don't know if he's still here or not, if Kevin is still here, but Tautomona. The Tautomona in Guam, it represents our ancestors, the ancient. That's right, women rule. um, the ancient Chamorros, and because we were known to be tall, muscular build. Um, so that's how they are depicted as. But in some of the stories that I remember hearing, the folklore about it is that they are spirits. And if you paid attention to um, the thumbnail that I used for today's live stream, interesting, lovely reading. Thank you, Becca. um, the tree that you saw in the thumbnail is known as the banyan tree, and that is also known. That's your tree. If you ever go to Guam, or if you know someone who's going to go to Guam and they're not native, let them know that that's one thing you definitely don't want to mess with, because that is known to be the one where the spirits reside. And the other thing about it, what? Oh, I know what you're doing. You better catch it.
Yeah, about that.
Is that, and I can speak personally about it only because I saw it once, or at least what Kevin had brought it up about someone he knew, or his cousin was, kind of like saying he didn't believe and was making fun of it, and the next he woke up with bruises on him. And that is one of the stories, is that if you don't show respect, if you make fun of them, that's one of the ways that they let you know that, look, we're here, we're real, is that they will bruise you in some way, like they're pinching you. And that pinching in Guam was such a big thing. So if you're not listening, you'll get a quick pinch on the arm, stuff like that. Or, if their arm was by your leg, they'll pinch you on the leg, especially if you're in church. Keep still, they just pinch you on the leg. But that was definitely a big thing. So, you'll get bruises of, something like that. But in worst cases, is that you end up getting sick. And I've only heard of stories like that, where, especially if it's a child, that ends up getting sick because they were visited by the Tatamona. But when I say personal experience, is because one of my sisters, my older sisters, I think it was my oldest, actually, she had said something about that, not believing in it. And, growing up, I come from a large family, and we didn't exactly have a large house, so we shared rooms with our older siblings. And, but anyways, she, that next morning, woke up with a huge bruise on the side of her leg. So that was one way, one of the things is like, you don't mess around with stuff like that. If you're visiting a culture and they have stories to that effect, I personally, I'll respect if they say don't do this, don't do that, even if they may be joking about it just to pull your leg. I'm sorry. Those are stuff like that, for what I believe, I don't mess around with. But what did you guys think of that story? The Puntan dos Amantes, Two Lovers Point. Like I said, it's kind of like our version of Romeo and Juliet, but instead of poisoning, they leaped to their death. And that was I don't know if you guys can hear, my grandbabies are running around upstairs right now. But yeah, that was the other thing. Traditionally, we would have long hair. Nice story. I'm always waking up with bruises on myself. I must be getting beaten up. Hey, Mrs. Womble. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Or either that your fur babies are enjoying, sleeping in the same room with you. And they just happen to be stepping on you. And I used to have long hair. I mean, my hair would be down my back, but I can't handle long hair anymore. So I'm going to share one more story with you guys. And this one is definitely something I remember hearing about a lot. If you're just now joining the live stream, welcome to my Tuesday Talks. One of the topic, it's not the main topic, but one of the topic is just sharing a little bit of my culture, episode 1. And in this episode, even though we're talking a little bit more about it, I'm from Guam, like the poster shows behind me and my t-shirt that I'm wearing. But I'm sharing stories. I'm sharing stories or legends because, some could be true. Some are just stories that may have been told, throughout time. So, but the next story that I'm going to share, it's something that I do remember hearing a lot about growing up. And they also do have a statue to represent her. So, but all right, one more time. Hope you guys have your drink. You guys are relaxed. And let's hear another story. A story of a mother, a daughter, and a Nina. A mother has a tone in her voice, a certain sound that signals to her children that it is time to work, maybe to cook, to clean, or to run an errand. Maybe it's a cadence that is displeasing to the child's ear, because she contrasts that tone to the gentle sound of waves against rock or to the call of the kingfisher flying near shore. The child longs for nothing more than to remove herself from the harsh sounds of motherhood and run toward the solace of the rocks, toward the beauty of the bird in flight, toward the peace of the water. It was this kind of beauty that proved to be too much for a young Chamorro woman named Serena to bear. She often chased down the sounds of the shore in lieu of listening to her Nana. She often ran to the water to feel it, to swim in it for hours and drown out the reality of chores and errands that needed completion. She swam knowing her Nana would be upset, and she felt some guilt about it. Serena hated disobeying and displeasing the woman who took care of her, but since she lived near the water and smelled and breathed and listened to it, Serena wanted to swim. The desire she felt was harmless enough. She instinctively knew that each time she fearlessly swam against the ocean currents and swam as quick as the seabirds flew in the sky, she knew that Itasi, the beach, gifted her with its deep knowledge. The ocean. That's what Tasi means, the ocean. The ocean had powers to wake her soul. In the water, she was free, and she was home. Nothing in her life made her happier. But every afternoon, Nana called out to her young daughter. Nana knew that with every moonrise, the time to bear children and run a household was encroaching upon the girl. Serena was on the verge of adulthood and needed to listen when called to do chores. For her part, Nana worried that Serena would not be ready to lead a family. She imagined her long-limbed and long-haired daughter, wild and free, and she shook her head in disdain, thinking, her wild ways will do her no good. Nana was intent on teaching her daughter to take care, pay attention, be mindful, prepare, and plan. Serena did not want to plan. Nana would scold and say things to her like, what kind of daughter forgets to clean? What kind of household will you manage? You do not listen to me, Serena, and you will come to some trouble. These admonitions happened daily, and yet Serena still did all her chores absent-mindedly. If Serena washed clothes by the river, she found the temptation of the water running down her wrists too strong to resist. Even the tiny droplets called to her, and then she would end up wet, rising up out of the river with the wash only partially done. If Serena went to fetch nizuk, or coconut, for charcoal burning, she picked the trees closest to the shore and still came home empty-handed, or worse yet, with wet coconuts that couldn't possibly be lit for the evening meal. One afternoon, while Serena was sent on another errand, Nana shared her worries with Serena's Nina. In despair, Nana complained to the godmother. "What do I do with this one? She acts like a child all day playing in the water. What is this laziness? What is this selfishness? Selfishness. Has she no sense of duty? What is she?" Nana placed her head in her hands. Sitting next to her, Serena's Nina calmly said, "Serena is a happy girl, and a happy heart should be celebrated. Happiness does not feed a family. What are you talking about? Serena knows what she needs. She knows what her gifts are. She's smart, Malik. Even though she is not my blood, I am telling you, I know her. Serena is good and kind." "Yes, no doubt Serena is kind, but I am raising a selfish, disobedient, careless child who won't think of the future, but who smiles at me with love, her eyes innocent and sparkling with hope. Yes, yes, I know. She is good. She walks in half naked from the beach. Ha! But then she'll only half wash our clothes. She forgets to bring in the coconuts. She won't sweep the corners or behind the chairs. She refuses to kill the chickens and won't slice open the fish to clean them." Nana, her heart racing, stood up. As she stood, Nana saw her daughter, a small shape from the window, languorously walking towards home. Once again, her hair falling loosely, dripping wet. Nana could see from far away that Serena was smiling, and she noticed that once again, the laundry had not been done. Serena's Nana felt an anger. A grief and disappointment grew and turned around inside her womb. A grief and rage that only mothers can know. As Serena stepped into the house, the firestorm of rage that was growing in Nana's leapt from her heart and out her mouth. Nana's voice thundered as if it came from someone else. "Since you love the water so much, live there until you die there. You will never have children. You will never have a home." At that unbearable moment, the echoing boom of these words threatened to tear down the walls of the house. Nana's admonitions pierced Serena's ears with a stabbing pain and clouded her eyes, blinding her. Serena's instinct was to flee from a heartbreak that she didn't recognize. She blindly backed out of the house and turned and ran instinctively toward the smell of the ocean. Serena's Nina watched her goddaughter run from her home toward the shore. Facing the ocean, the godmother's voice rang out, cool and calm after the girl. "I claim your heart, Serena, your mind and your heart, and because of that, I claim your womanhood for you in the places where your mind and your heart live. Your Nana has taken children from you, but she cannot take the ocean from you." Serena couldn't have heard the peace in her godmother's wish for her. For once in the water, she panicked. The ocean, it seemed, was rejecting her, and she feared that her mother's words were going to kill her. The water raged all around her. Her arms flapped up and down. She no longer remembered how to swim and could not keep her torso or her head afloat. She gasped in short spurts of breath, taking in both water and air, coughing and choking. But worst of all were her legs. She lost control of her legs. They felt as though they were on fire. Had she scratched them up against the ocean rocks? She wasn't near enough to the coral reef yet, but the burning was insistent. The pain moved from her toes to her knees. She tried to use her legs to swim, but found that the fire spread to her joints, stiffened her knees, and tightly locked them in an immovable position. She was sure she would sink to the ocean floor. Yet Serena didn't sink. Instead, the current swept her closer to the reef, where the water cruelly, she thought, dragged her over the jagged edges of coral. She felt the flesh of her thighs grating upon those edges and wondered if she was being sliced into quarters by the sea. The ocean wants me in pieces, she thought desperately to herself, and it was only at this point of feeling immobile, severed, that she finally cried. Her tears fell for the pain she felt, for the pain her Nana felt, and for the loss of home and of life. Serena gave up fighting and surrendered to the ocean. Her tears mingled with the waters all around her, and when they met the ocean calmed. Her heart gathered up a deep, mournful moan for this pain, and when that moan came out her throat and into the world, she thought she heard dolphins. Serena stopped fighting. She closed her eyes and lay floating on the waters as if to sleep. She focused on the feel of the water on her arms, back, and neck. She felt the coolness of the wind hitting her wet cheeks, and the pain subsided. She opened her eyes. Serena noticed there were no dolphins. She noticed that the clouds were missing from Ilangit, the sky. She noticed that its deep blue color merged with the blue of the ocean. She noticed these things, yet she didn't notice the ease with which her body cut through the water, or how far and how fast she had swum. She didn't notice the scales, the green, silvery sheen where her legs once were. The glimmer of green she did see, she mistook for the silver blue glare that ocean waves make in the sun. If her heart refused to let go of Nana's hurtful words, then all Serena wanted was for the peace of the ocean to be there with her. The ocean did not, in fact, tear her to pieces. The ocean wrapped her up and tucked her into its earth-sized blanket of serenity, and she felt as if she were the only thing that mattered in that moment. Again, she closed her eyes. Later, much later that evening, as Nana searched the naked horizon with an aching heart, she deeply regretted her words because, like all moms who sometimes say regrettable things, Nana only wanted what she thought was best for her Serena, and although Serena could never go back to her home, the young girl lived out the rest of her days, half fish, half woman, in the body preserved for her by her godmother, in the form given to her by her Nana, a form that most captured her spirit. And that's the picture that they put in the book. Oh, sorry. That right there was as she was transitioning into a mermaid. So if you want to see, that's also something else that's big in Guam. They have a statue of Serena, and yes, she is half naked. I would love to live in the water. I love the ocean, even though I can't swim, but yes, I grew up on an island, a tropical island that I don't know how to swim, but this was something we had talked about before too. But just in case you weren't there, yeah, I can't swim. My kids can swim, my husband can swim, but I can't. But it's so easy, especially if you live along where you're in walking distance. And there was only one time growing up when we lived in the southern part of the island to where looking out the door and across the street was our neighbor's house, and behind them was the ocean. That's how close we were so I think for a year or so of my life I lived that close to the beach. Otherwise, I love the water. I'm just a bit afraid of fish. When I was a kid, I don't know if do you guys know what a sea cucumber is? The water is clear in Guam, and that's a cool thing, but at the same time it's a little scary, at least for me now. Back as a kid and in Guam, and I'm waiting to see if someone will answer if they know what a sea cucumber is. In Guam we know it as something else. We call it balati, and scared of fish but not bears. Interesting, right? Something small. Well, some fish are not that small. You got some fish that are really big, but but the sea cucumber, or balati as we call them, when you squeeze them, they squirt out this white stringy stuff. But when I was a kid, I would actually play with them. And one of the islands, there was a much smaller island that was right off one of the coasts in the southern part of the island, and it was called Cocos Island. And I remember one of the times we went out there, and like I said, it's a big tourist Guam, especially from Japan. You know, it's a big tourist site for them coming to our island. But I remember as a kid, I'd be playing catch with other people with the balati. You know, but yeah, it is not fun because especially when you're barefoot and they happen to, be hiding underneath the sand. Because there are parts of the island where the sand is white. Otherwise, it's that typical beige, standard looking color of the sand. But because, as the water's moving and it can move the sand and it'll cover the sea cucumber. So yeah, and then you can step on it and then you got this icky feeling of something just all wrapped around your foot. Then you have to go out of the water and just try to remove that stuff. So yeah, but I used to play with that as a kid. Um, but yeah, so the waters are clear. They still have that blue green look to them. I mean, there are some parts of the island that I haven't seen personally, but I've only seen, videos and pictures of where the sands are white. And because some of those places you have to trek to, some of those places to where the beach is serene, and there's some areas where you have to be careful because you can actually get trapped out there when the tide comes in. So it's um, that is uh, one of the cool things to see. And one of these days, hopefully, when my husband and I are able to, when we go see our son, who's currently stationed in Okinawa, and we can just take a military hop over to Guam, and we can actually do a full tour of the island. But I don't know, with my bad knees and everything, there might be some areas I still might not be able to get to. But if you're just now joining the live stream, I'm so glad you're able to pop in. But this is Culture Day episode 1. I was just sharing some tidbits of where I'm from, which is a tiny island in the Pacific called Guam. And literally, the word Guam, when you look at it on a world globe, is bigger than the dot that represents our tiny island. So, but if you're looking at it, to the north, you got Japan, and to the southwest, you got the Philippines down this way. If I'm doing it right, I was never the best with geography. My husband is, and then going down that way, like you're headed towards the U.S., you'll come across Hawaii. But yeah, it literally is a tiny dot on the map. So it is going to be one of those islands where if you're not looking down, you're going to fly right by it. So what did you guys think of the mermaid story? I do have, be right back. All that reading made me thirsty. Um, but there is so much more. I now share it in future episodes of Culture Day. And one of the other stories that, um, and, as I think about it, it's like some of these stories are like horror stories, and they're to scare you, I guess. um, Because like with the Tatamona, they're the spirits of our ancestors. Some of the other things that you don't want to mess with is that you're in the jungle, okay? Um, is We were always told, I mean, even to this day as adults, um, um, if you have to go, you know what I mean? If you have to go and you're in the jungle, you have to show your respect, and you're supposed to. I don't know the phrase in tomorrow on how to say it, but you're supposed to ask for permission, before you can go. Because if you don't give your respect, then, the same thing that I've heard that is going to happen, you'll be bruised in some way. You'll be visited, you know. And what's crazy is that a couple of years ago, um, we actually caught an episode. I don't know if you guys ever watched the show or not, but it's these guys who go around and they investigate, stuff that they hear of paranormal stuff. And so they actually did an episode, and they flew out to Guam, and some of them were, skeptical about it, of course. And they did have some locals to make sure that they guided them and everything. And they came across one of the banyan trees, but they have some of the equipment with them, that's supposed to do the infrared stuff. But an incident that happened during the filming was, one of the guys, and it was at night, said he felt something, like somebody had put their hand on his back or pushed him. What was crazy was when they did the infrared on his back, you could see a handprint. There was a handprint on his back. So that was, I mean, they did come across, like one or two other things during the episode, but, that kind of like, you've been pushed. What kind of push? But it, goes to show that, who knows, but, there's the Tatamon, and then there's also the Duendes. I think we also share a little bit, with the Spanish. When it comes to that, I think they have a story. I mean, something similar to what the Duendes are, but they are like, and I think that story is in this book. Nope, it's not in this book. But the Duendes are, I don't even know how that they would be described, almost like, little people or elves even. But the story behind that one is that they can only be seen by children. They are known to lure children into the jungle. So that's why they always say to be careful, make sure your kids are baptized, make sure they're wearing, that was another part of the story that I remember hearing, was that they've got a blessed pin on them. But, always being there with your kids, especially if they're close to the jungle. And where we lived in the southern part of the island, and when a child with a crazy imagination like me, we lived right next door to a cemetery. Has anybody here watching right now, whether you're part of the live stream or as watching as a replay, have you ever lived by a cemetery? Because while we lived in the South, even though we had the beauty of looking out our front door and seeing the ocean, we had the house where the land was. We had a patch of jungle. And then on the other side of that jungle was the cemetery, on the same side of the road. So yeah, I didn't play around in the jungle, for sure. Maybe during the day with my brothers and sisters, never by myself, and never at night. But that's another story that I remember hearing about that's also not in this book that I would love to have shared, but maybe I'll find it for a future episode to show, a little bit about our culture. But again, just in case, you weren't here at the start of the streaming, one of the things that we had talked about was what wearing a flower behind the ear represents. So if you ever come across, and again, Guam is not the only place. Many of the Pacific Islands share this meaning, but that's what nightmares are made of. Yeah. Um, um, is that if you see a young lady or a woman wearing the flower on the right ear, meaning she is available, she's not married. But just like how we wear our wedding rings on the left hand, women or ladies that are in a relationship or spoken for, they let people know, but without having to wear a ring, that they are spoken for. You're very welcome. And I am probably going to be doing another cooking video or live stream as part of my culture day episodes. No, it just me. That just means they're letting you know that they've got options. But Mary, what did you mean by you've been pushed? Huh? They're trapped there. And I will tell you, one of my sisters or two of my sisters, or okay, I'll tell you this because I remember the story easier with what my mom had shared with me. Okay, yeah, I figured as much as you were about to say that because it's the same thing when my mom, when her dad was in the hospital, he was sick and she was visiting him, but it was time to go home. He told her to go home. And on the drive home from the hospital, my mom said that pretty much the entire ride home, between her and my dad, she felt a presence sitting right next to her. And that was with her dad. And she said the minute, that they drove into in front of the house, she said she felt the presence disappear. Oh yes, I know. I meant to put that. I do apologize. I'll go back and do I forgot to put the ingredients for the pancit that I made on the previous one. I'll go back and include the recipe in the comments. But aw. Aw. Now with my mom's mom, when she said that she was visited by her mom before she passed, she said my mom said she was laying down, and or was it my dad? I meant her dad. Oops. All I know, I think from what I remember and my mom sharing this part, was that she was visited and she said she was laying down, and then next thing you know, she said she felt like someone was, caressing the back of her head, like, that type of caressing you would do to your child to let you know that everything's going to be okay. She didn't feel alarmed, she didn't feel scared or anything like that, but she just said that that's what it felt like, was that someone was just caressing the back of her head. And in that what are they, is Zoe up there? Okay. of their family. Are they family, Mary? All I know too is when, at least in my immediate family, between my parents and my siblings, um, my father is the only one that has passed away. I mean, I've lost um, two of my brother-in-laws in the last few years, but I was actually in the room when my dad passed away. But I do remember when we were all talking about it, and my dad was asleep, and my mom, we were talking, and she was sharing those stories again to everybody, and I just said that I said, um, don't scare me. I just said, don't scare me. If you're gonna visit, don't scare me, because I can get easily scared when stuff like that happens. Oh, Sheila, it's funny because, not funny, but I mean, I've had dreams like that with my dad. One is grandpa on mom's side. I don't know who the other three are. Nothing to be afraid of. Um, but I've had, dreams of my dad, and and especially when I share it with my siblings, they're like, I haven't had any dreams of dad, because sometimes, and it's like one of those things where he doesn't say anything, he just looks at you and he smiles. My mom is always just saying that that's his way of checking in on me, and letting me know that he's still watching. And then there are times where I actually hear his voice, where he's talking, and I hear his voice and it sounds just like I remember. So it's almost like, in a sense, um, like it was real. But we definitely, our culture, we definitely believe in a lot of um, spiritual, spiritual stuff. Oh, oh, and Mary, that's what my mom says, is that every time you come across a dime, I mean, you're talking about, finding a dime in odd places for sure. It's just like, especially when that happens to me, and I'm just like, hi, Dad. Zoe, are you starting them on their showers?
Not yet.
Okay,
Why'd
can
you
you?
say it like that?
Can you?
What time are they going to bed?
Not too long after.
Because I just started SpongeBob for them.
Well, because they're gonna need to before they
Well,
go.
I know that. But I'm
Okay.
just going to do it after.
Me and Dad used to take him to school, and then when that was back when it was all coins. Oh, I have a fluffy piggy bank that I put. It's about half full. He died. Aw. Wait. I'm gonna have to wait for another message to come through because the heart is in the way. For me, um, at least when I was growing up, it didn't have to necessarily happen to me because I was around those who it happened to. So I've always believed. I have a fluffy piggy bank that I put the coins in. It's about half full. Wow. What? To be really? That was his way of, having a good sense of humor? Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that's good. But I mentioned how, in reference to my brother-in-laws, when the first one passed away several years ago, on his first anniversary, when we were doing the rosaries, at that time, my twin granddaughters were toddlers. Well, and I have it on video. We were in the middle of doing the rosary when my granddaughter, one of the twins, all of a sudden she just started smiling so big and was looking up, and she was looking towards the light, because the living room light, and it was like it almost just felt like she was looking at someone, that someone was talking to her, because all of a sudden it just caught her gaze, and all of a sudden she just starts looking up and she's just smiling so big, and and I was pointing it to, I was trying to get the attention of others in the room to see what was going on, because why all of a sudden, is she acting like someone's standing in front of her and talking to her? So I thought that was, we all thought that he was there visiting, and um, that was his way of letting us know that, he was there, that he's okay, because of the fact that, she was smiling and just looked so happy. Yeah. But um, I just also want to let you guys know that in future episodes, like I said, cooking is going to be something that I'm going to do again. Another favorite dish, growing up, that you'll find to be a common thing you'll see in a lot of Chamorro households, whether you're in Guam or even in the States or anywhere. What that is, I don't know yet, but I will try to remember. And like I said, I'm going to go back to the previous video where I made the pancit, which is the noodle dish, and I'll put the ingredients there for those that want to give it a try and follow along, or make it the way you want to make it. Because like I said, if you were to have, a pancit day, you're going to see, I don't know, a handful of different versions of how pancit is made. She was the one that was open to listen. I love that. Yeah, yeah. That and your animals. Your animals. But and then the other thing, and is that we're gonna do is kind of like an entertainment stream in the future, to where we're probably gonna do some dancing. And I don't know when the dancing and the singing might take place, only because I'm just trying to make sure that my channel, and even though I'm not monetized yet, I know in previous videos that have been cited for copyright, that that message was on there saying that if my channel were to be monetized, then at that time, any video that has been flagged as a copyright issue, if I don't fix it, will then become an issue. So I just want to make sure I get that all situated, because it's not going to be the same if we can't play any music, especially if there's going to be singing involved, or any dancing. It's not going to be the same without the music. So I'm going to try and make sure I get that situated before I schedule those lives. But so what next Tuesday's topic is going to be, I don't know yet. It might just be a random, come chat with me type thing, and whatever everyone feels like talking about and sharing with me on that day. But like I said, I mean, I know Mary, because I just looked at your name. That's why I just said your name. Sheila, you gave me one thing to look at for copyright music that I can play on during my live stream. And the other thing is, too, I know when I'm looking at my studio page of my YouTube channel, they have an audio library that you can use this music, on your videos. So I'm wondering, I mean, not that they're, the best of music and everything that's on here. Um, I'm wondering if this is stuff too, because one of this music is something that I was planning to play in the background as I was reading the stories. But yeah, so until I get that situated, the whole singing and the dancing part, won't take place until I get that done. Oh my gosh. Seriously. Thank you, Presley, for jumping on that. As far as I know, Sheila, I thought it's supposed to take place tomorrow, starting as early as tomorrow. And that's right. Because where you're at here in Texas, you're probably going to be affected by it more than I am. She was just asking, I don't know if you saw that, babe, about the storm.
Yeah, tomorrow. They might, I mean, they've already got warnings up all along the coast, so.
Yeah, he was just saying that he just sees the warnings already taking place. So Sheila, stay safe out there. But I mean, yeah, I could do that, but I want them to be set up to be monetized. Because I don't know if you guys watched his latest video that he released, but the Mad Dasher, he showed what he made within the first almost 2 weeks of being monetized. And apparently videos that you've even uploaded prior to being fully monetized, you can still get paid for. I mean, it's a lower rating, but you can still get paid for it. But we'll see. We'll see. Because there's definitely, there's one performance that I'd love to do that my daughters and I have performed for family. And it's a dance that I learned while we were stationed in Germany with my hula sisters. And it's called Tetama. And that's my favorite of all the dances, that I learned while I was over there. That is my favorite. That is my favorite to perform whenever, and I've done it several times since being back in the States with my family here in Texas for, gatherings and whatnot. So my family, especially, we like to be our own entertainment, whether it be the singing, the dancing. We like to be our own entertainment. One of my other sisters also learned and self-taught. She plays the guitar, some of the island music, but then she's also learned to play the more, the newer music and stuff like that. She's learned to play some of the songs from Adele. I was planning on asking her to also be part of future, performances, entertainment. But that person just jumped in so quickly. And the fact, they can be creative or maybe not so creative with their troll names. I think he's this person was the first and only one, knock on wood, to make an appearance tonight, unless while I was reading, um, there was more that popped up. But if you're just now joining the live stream, I do hope that you'll do a rewind and watch the replay. I shared a little bit more about my culture, talking about the flower behind the ear, the meaning for that. Shared some stories, actual stuff that I experienced, but some of the stories are legends of Guam. I did read 2 stories from the book, but so I do hope that, if you missed that first part of tonight's live stream, that you'll give it a gander and listen to the story. And feel free to leave a comment. Tell me what you think. If if you know something similar to those stories and stuff like that, I'd love to hear about that. But it is 9 o'clock, and I'm not sure if Ray is doing his live stream tonight or not, if it's already going on. So I might take a look over there and pop in over there while I have my dinner. But first, I just want to say thank you guys, Siju'us Mazi, for everybody that was here tonight, for everybody that was participating in the chat. I truly appreciate that. Every time I upload, every time I go live, with a wonderful community, as the YouTube gig community that I'm in has been so supportive. I keep getting closer and closer to getting my channel monetized on that first tier. So I hope that I'll get that continued support from my my loyal or my previous subscribers, but even for the new ones that come in, hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and I do hope you enjoy this video and future ones that I'll be doing. So thank you, Siju'us Masi. You guys take care, and I will see you on the next live stream. So be on the lookout. Sometimes they're impromptu, but you'll find me for sure Tuesday nights for my Tuesday talks. So stay safe out there. Let's get out there and make that money. But until next time, you guys have a wonderful night. Adios for now. Or the Laddie Stone. Gotta do the Laddie Stone. Can you guys see that Laddie Stone? See? The hand? That's the Laddie Stone right there. They act as pillars. And that was another thing. I gotta try and remember to talk more about that. But that represented even the status. The taller those were that you used, because they were pillars, because that's what the houses stood upon. And so the higher those pillars were, meaning you had a higher position in the village. But anyways, so either do the shaka, or you can make the Laddie Stone. Just put 2 fists together to represent the base and the head of the Laddie Stone. But everybody have a good night. Talk to you guys later. Adios esta gupa. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button on the way out. Smash, smash, smash. Bye, everybody.